Hey, Steve Zick here. Welcome back to Poke's New Channel on the Guitar Ladder System. This is the hardest thing I've ever had to explain because there's a certain mystical kind of Zen component aspect to music. Developing and building a musical ear and building a musical mind and waking up the musical ear is not black and white. It's not like learning, computer, programming, coding skills or learning how to rebuild a car engine, something that's, step one, step two, step three. The whole, there's a term that I actually got from Pat Metheny called progressive learning. And Pat Metheny is a pretty sharp guy. He got an honorary doctorate from I think it was Berkeley, but he got an honorary doctorate at 19, and he's a pretty sharp guy. And he understands the fact that learning guitar and music is completely different than a lot of other things. I'm not saying it's not good to know some basic theory and chord construction and tonal centers and things like that. But in order to wake up the musical ear, to create a musical mind, to augment and enlarge your natural musical talent, you need ear training, and that's why people like Joe Pass and Wes Montgomery were such giants and had such good musical ears, and they didn't get into a bunch of complex theory. Joe Pass, who I actually studied with for a while when I was about 22, I'm 67 now, but Joe Pass used to just say major and minor, that's it. Like he had a really simple way of music, and his whole thing was not to think about it so much, would learn chord families, learn ear training. He was a big component of chordal improvisation, which is what the guitar ladder system emphasizes, and also learning, chord melody is really, really helpful to building your musical ear. And Wes Montgomery was the same way. He knew what a 7#5 was, but he didn't get into a bunch of complex theory. He had more of a right brain, approach. Thinking is overrated, and even Joe Pass used to say, if you're always thinking about what you're playing, you're not going to get very far. So part of understanding the guitar ladder system is understanding you're not going to understand it. Okay, I know that sounds like a paradox, but I'm serious because my approach, I want to share how I came up with this. I studied 4 or 5 times when I was a young man, probably starting at about 16, 17 with Horace Hatchett. Horace Hatchett taught Howard Roberts how to play when Howard Roberts was a young man in Arizona. Howard Roberts went on to form musicians, I think it was called GIT, and then he changed the name to Musicians Institute in North Hollywood. But the important thing is, Horace Hatchett greatly emphasized, chordal improvisation and learning how to resolve chords and chord families and learning the different colors and the different tension and resolution of chords. And this doesn't stick to any one program. Like if you're hung up on diatonic harmony, you're going to sound really predictable and boring. There's 8, 9, 10, 11, different systems of improvisation, but great music, you're not thinking about it. So the guitar ladder system builds a reservoir of knowledge, builds almost like kind of like computer files in your subconscious mind, to where even when you're not playing or practicing, your subconscious mind is assimilating this information. And like I said, it's something to where you don't have to put it in a box. You don't have to. It actually has a reverse effect. If you try to figure out all my chordal studies and why they work and everything, you're actually going backwards. It's going to slow you down. You don't need to figure anything out. Now, that being said, there's actually 3 different things that you want to incorporate if you're doing the guitar ladder system. One of them is experimenting with altered tunings with a good acoustic guitar. That really builds your ear training. You don't even think about the name of the chord. You just hear something that sounds beautiful and you go somewhere else. Another one is practicing improvising every day. You can watch my video, The 10 Systems of Improvisation. And when you're practicing improvising, if you get stuck on a chord, you might think, okay, perfect fourth from that chord, perfect fourth from that chord, flat, five, whatever. But when you're working the guitar ladder system, here's study 1. When you're working the guitar ladder system, no thinking is. You got to think. Obviously, you're playing the chords, but you don't need to pick apart the system. I think because we've all been kind of brainwashed by this worker bee mentality of learning. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing for some things. My son graduated from UC Davis with a degree in nutrition. I'm really proud of him. And he finished up his internship recently. And that's a great major, by the way. But my point is, when you're working the guitar ladder system, you don't need to figure things out. If you figure, and some people get confused because they can't define the guitar ladder system. The guitar ladder system is a very innovative way. It's a progressive learning and that emphasizes seeding the subconscious mind, progressive learning. It's the guitar ladder system is almost like musical mantras or musical meditation. It builds up your ear, it creates a musical mind, it augments, it enlarges the musical mind and gives you a reservoir of knowledge that even when you're just sleeping or whatever, your mind is piecing things together, learning about tension and resolution, learning about chord color, learning that this goes to here, this goes to here, and it sounds like this. And I always use this example. When you eat a banana, your subconscious mind releases 867 enzymes, and your subconscious mind is so powerful. Again, I'm not saying a little bit of basic theory isn't a good thing, but a lot of people really get stuck, and it slows down your musical growth if you're always trying to figure everything out and think about everything. So when you're doing like for instance cycle one, when you're doing cycle one in my guitar ladder system, by the way, you can order it at stevesguitars.com. Best $199 you'll ever spend. I got some strings. They're stretching here. Apologize for that, but when you're doing cycle one, for instance, you don't need to stop and analyze what you're doing. It's not necessary. Anyway, these are new strings are stretching. In other words, you don't need to stop and analyze. I mean, you can lightly notice, major 7 connects diminished, connects minor. But my point just being is music is different, okay? It's kind of a mystical thing. And it's really about, the guitar ladder system. The guitar ladder system is really about creating an open channel to musical consciousness. And I've been doing transcendental meditation for 37 years. I'm kind of drawing the parallel here. Learning music and progressing and making seriously a quantum leap in the level of understanding and playing guitar is highly possible, and it happens as naturally as going downhill on a bike if you have the right information, because the guitar ladder system is going to teach you. You're going to hear and learn how things go together, and it's not necessary for you to figure everything out. No, I'm not. It always sounds like a paradox when you discuss these things, but like if you go through, because some people I think, like I said, we're all so brainwashed to be so left brain and this, and I got to put a formula on this, I got to put a tag on this, I've got to put, a definition. If you're always defining things, it's going to slow down your musical growth. So that's one of the really cool things about the guitar ladder system is when you work the studies, you don't have to figure it out. So it's important, like I said, to improvise every day too. So when you're improvising, if you're improvising and you get stuck, then you bring your left brain in. You say, okay, let me try going a flat 5 from the root of that chord. Let me try going, intervallic, maybe moving a chord a minor third. Let me try doing maybe a flat 5 of the root of the chord. Whatever it might be. I take a section of 3 or 4 chords and do the same section somewhere else, kind of a symmetric idea. So, but what I'm trying to explain is that when you do the guitar ladder system, don't try to figure it out. Don't take each study and try to figure it out. That's going to actually slow you down. Again, this is called progressive learning. We're respecting the subconscious mind, not annoying it. And the subconscious mind is so powerful. They say if you had to have computers that could do what our subconscious mind does, you'd have to fill up 2 buildings the size of the Empire State Building full of computers. That's incredible. That's a real thing. I didn't make that up. So my point being, if you're working the guitar ladder system or you're thinking of investing in 199 because you really want to make some tremendous growth the next year, you got some time right now, and you just really want to learn how to improvise and get up and down your guitar and chords, and you want to discover your own unique musical point of view, That's really what the guitar ladder system is about. But you have to wrap your mind around the fact that you don't need to analyze every study. You just need to do the studies, let them soak in. It's naturally you're going to start building this reservoir of musical knowledge, and it's going to wake up your musical talent that you didn't even know you have. And that's not bullshit. It really works, folks. I've sold over 9,000 courses. I've sold courses to people with master's degrees in music that say, Steve, I'm stuck. I can't improvise. I can't compose. Because they've learned in this really rigid left brain, controlled type environment. Again, everything sounds like a paradox when you start explaining this stuff. But there's certain things that are important to know, like chord construction and tonal centers and things like that. But the real advantage and the real opportunity here is to build and wake up your musical mind, seed the musical mind. The guitar ladder system is like planting seeds in fertile soil, and then they grow. And I get emails from people all the time just saying, man, I've been working the guitar ladder system for a while. All of a sudden I'm starting to noodle around and I'm starting to find things that I didn't even know I could do, and they're really cool and they sound kind of unique. I mean, you're going to reflect artists you like, but if you're really tired of moving at a snail's pace. But here's the funny thing, according to the science of neuroplasticity, which is a study of how we learn and how we learn the subconscious mind, you get more results if you don't focus on results. If you just stay positive, you don't overanalyze, you stay in the here and now, just do the studies, that opens up a channel to you allowing this information to kind of create a folder in your subconscious mind. And then, like I said, you could be sleeping, taking a shower, whatever, and your subconscious mind is assimilating, comparing and contrasting. This is progressive learning, folks. The results from this is light years beyond some other approach. I'm not saying every other approach is bullshit, but what I am saying is that if you want the advantage of learning at a highly accelerated rate, again, you have to not focus on results, because your subconscious mind works better that way, according to the science of neuroplasticity. So you don't focus on results, you just stay positive, you just do my chordal studies, because even Joe Pass said the huge growth comes from working chordal improvisation. Building your improvisational skills is the magic key to huge growth and waking up the composer and artist within. But don't let that scare you. Don't make it like a pressure, like, oh my God, I have to write my own stuff. It comes out naturally. Some artists that reflect this are like Eric Johnson, who, in my opinion, there's very few real artists on the planet. Eric Johnson said, yeah, improvisational skills is the key. So I'm trying to explain that you don't need to define the guitar ladder system, but if you want to put a little label on it, it's an innovative, progressive learning technique that's like a musical meditation or like guitar steroids that actually opens up, enlarges, and builds a musical mind, discovers your hidden talent, wakes up your musical ear, and creates like a musical folder in your subconscious mind that grows and grows and compares and contrasts. And the more you work on my studies, the more you enlarge that. But it's really important to understand you do not need to pick apart and analyze all my studies, okay? Like I said, you can notice things, and that's good, like here, these strings are stretching, it's driving me nuts, but you can notice the smooth voice leading in certain things. But the most important, and if you're working the guitar ladder system, don't forget, you got to email me every couple weeks for another study. I don't have an automatic send. People sometimes forget that. But so you learn, like I used to talk to Joe Pass, he'd say, well, if he plays one chord, he automatically hears other chords. He hears, because every chord has many different directions and tendencies, and so it's really important to your musical growth. Because like my early teacher Horace Hatchett, who taught Howard Roberts, this is my own unique approach, but the spirit behind it came from Joe Pass and Horace Hatchett, who taught Howard Roberts when Howard Roberts was a young man. Some of the greatest players on the planet said that they woke up and created their musical ear through chordal work. So that's why most of the guitar ladder system is chordal studies, okay? So it's really important not to analyze it. But yeah, I think some people get confused because we're all so brainwashed and conditioned by the normal type of learning where you read this chapter of a book, or you learn this formula, or you learn that the steps of rebuilding your car engine is 1 through 40, whatever it might be. Music, art is different. There's a mystical component, kind of a Zen component. It's not just intuition, it's learning how to cooperate with the science of neuroplasticity and learning how the subconscious mind prefers to learn and grow. And when you do this and you remove the left brain, having to define everything, having to play one of my studies and pick it apart and everything. You don't do that. It's going to slow you down. And I'm not going to explain that in all my studies. It's not necessary. This is stuff I've learned from 30 years of guitar teaching, folks. I know what I'm doing. So you got to trust me, and you got to trust the system, and don't overanalyze it. Again, according to the science of neuroplasticity, the subconscious mind, which is a freaking giant, powerful thing, which I really think the subconscious mind gets a little bored. By the way, if any of this is resonating with you, just go to stevesguitars.com, buy the Guitar Ladder System, invest in $199. It's going to be life changing. I know that sounds like bullshit, but it's not. It's really important not to analyze my studies. Just play them and listen, okay? And then, like I said, I suggest to all my students that also every day just improvise a little bit, and don't be harsh about how good it sounds. A lot. I mean, you can even think chromatic improvisation. You can do something as simple as this, and then you're improvising, right? One of the ones that I love the most is common tone. You take one note and you build chords around that one note. Okay? So what I'm just trying to make and again, you can order at stevesguitars.com. This is a perfect time to make a quantum leap with us all kind of being in a little bit of a lockdown here. But the most important thing to understand is don't overanalyze. Don't analyze at all my studies. Just play them. And then, like I said, you can have another time when you're working on improvising. Maybe you get stuck, and then maybe you can watch my video, 10 Systems of Improvisation. If you're improvising and you get stuck, then maybe think, okay, perfect fourth from here, flat 5 from the root, minor third away from that chord, use a common tones, symmetry, you can think diatonically if you want. Diatonic only takes you so far. If all your stuff is based on diatonic, you're going to sound boring and it's predictable as hell. I think one of the major points I want to make here is that discovering your own musical talent is about discovering your own unique musical point of view and discovering some of your own musical ideas. This has nothing to do with, getting a record deal or not getting a record deal, or making money or not making money. It's the joy of playing guitar. It's the joy of waking up the artist within. It's the joy of waking up your musical mind, and nothing feels better than when you begin to kind of discover and some of your own musical ideas start to kind of flower and bloom out of your consciousness. So the Guitar Ladder System is a very progressive way to wake up your musical consciousness, to seed the subconscious mind, to get the left brain out of the equation because it's slow as shit, get the right brain, get the subconscious mind waking up and building a reservoir of knowledge that's gonna take you on a quantum leap of progress much faster. And I know this sounds overconfident and arrogant, but you're never going to get to the level you could get to without the Guitar Ladder System, because it's just not possible. The studies, they're all going to input information into your subconscious mind, where your subconscious mind's going to begin to understand how to create this kind of color, this kind of tension and resolution, this kind of sound, this kind of mood, And so, if you really want to take your guitar, and even if you think you don't have much natural talent, you have a lot more than you think you do. Don't compare yourself to your friend that maybe progressed on guitar a lot faster. The Guitar Ladder System can actually wake up and enlarge musical talent you didn't even know you had. And that's not bullshit. I've had students with very little talent that just blew my mind with how much progress they made in a year, because they didn't get their ego involved. They didn't analyze everything. They put their ego on the back burner. They just did what I asked them to do. They did the studies. They didn't think about it. It's kind of like if you're learning how to be a better musician, look at it like a garden hose, okay? If a garden hose is open and the water's flowing through, in this case musical knowledge is flowing through freely, you're going to build up this reservoir of knowledge or reservoir of water or whatever, right? Just making an analogy. But if that hose is clogged with rocks and everything, and dirt, let's just say the water can't flow through the holes. Well, that's kind of like what the left brain is like, okay, or the ego. If you're always thinking and judging and analyzing everything, you're clogging up that pathway to a quantum leap of musical growth. So the guitar ladder system opens up the channels to you having a tremendous quantum leap of growth. It happens naturally, no thinking. When you're doing the studies, you don't need to analyze them or anything. But the guitar ladder system is a progressive system that opens up the channels of musical consciousness, builds a reservoir of musical knowledge in your own subconscious mind, and it's gonna give you a huge quantum leap. So if any of this is resonating with you, if you just love guitar and you'd like to take it a lot further, just go to Steve's at Guitars, order the guitar ladder system. I don't send it all at once. People always get confused. People always get confused about this, but it's you know, you need to kind of spoon feed yourself. This is a great example, by the way, of simplicity. Just taking a it's a bichord. It's a minor 7 and a major 9. This video is going to take forever to upload. Oh well. So a bichord is a major 9 and a minor 7 to a major 13 flat 5. Hear that? See, you get some contrary motion. The treble goes up, the bass goes down. But like I said, the guitar ladder system is like musical meditation. It's gonna build a reservoir of knowledge. We're gonna seed the subconscious mind. These musical ideas are gonna grow and sprout. Then they're gonna start connecting, almost like roots of a tree. They're gonna start connecting to other areas of knowledge. And I've really got something special here. I've got 30 years into this, folks. And this is from doing a lot of private teaching and seeing which students really grew and which students didn't. A lot of it had to do with the ones that trusted me. The ones that fought me were always arguing and trying to figure everything out. You know, I finally just don't even teach people like that. But the important thing is that you need a tool. The guitar ladder system is a tool to build a musical mind, to build a musical ear, to wake up and discover your unique musical talent. You have a lot more than you think you do, but you need to put the ego on the back burner. You need to put the left brain on the back burner. You have to not analyze my studies, just play them and let it work its magic. So if any of this makes any sense to you, if you love guitar, you want to take it as far as you can in this life, just go to stevesatguitars.com, invest the $199. It's over 100 studies. I don't send it all at once. People always forget that. You have to hit me up every week or two. People, again, I don't know why they forget that, but I don't have some auto send. But anyway, this again, the spirit of the guitar ladder system, it's all my own material, but it goes back to the spirit of Joe Pass, Wes Montgomery, great players like that understood the importance of building a musical ear, okay? The conscious mind only takes you so far. The subconscious mind is so powerful. It runs the entire physiology of your body. So if you really love guitar, you really love music, invest the $199. It's a perfect time to do it. Just go to stevesatguitars.com. Don't fight yourself. Procrastinate the procrastination. It's going to be life-changing. I hate to sound that corny, but it's really true. The emails I get from people are just incredible. But, you know, you just have to, go about it with the right approach. So, again, my suggestion, if any of this makes sense, go to stevesatguitars.com. You don't have to be a member of PayPal to order. And let's get you going on this, okay? You're going to have huge progress. But again, according to the study of neuroplasticity, you'll have the most progress if you don't focus on progress. I know it sounds crazy, but that's just the way. See, my guitar ladder system understands the way the subconscious mind learns. So we don't annoy the subconscious mind. We respect it. We feed it the right tools for massive growth. All right, I rest my case. Go to stevesatguitars.com. Order the guitar ladder system. You're going to discover your own unique musical identity. All right, take care. Bye-bye.